Hey guys, so trying to get this box down to temperature. I can tell you these things are, I'll go on about them Everwell. They're junk, don't buy them. Regardless, you could use them in a pinch, but to set them, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Now I'm monitoring my voltage. I cranked my evap sensor down to, so it doesn't even come into equation. Trying to set this one. We'll wipe that mark off. We'll have to mark it where it's at your shut-off point. And the combination of that with a nice little bent needle now has been causing me nothing but grief. Trying to get this box down to a running temperature. So this will be on to next. So guys, back to the I'll show you some setup tricks here, especially if you're building your own controllers. This gauge is a piece of shit. Sorry for my English, but they're junk. Don't buy them. I got a couple of Coopers on the way. Much better quality. This gauge was 7 degrees out. These Everwells are junk as well. You can see that's my room temperature, and it's at approximately minus 20 or probably about -5 to maintain my box temperature. This is very close. It'll do a 37 degree startup and run down to 0. What I'm doing here is I'm monitoring my voltage, and this is how I tune this instrument in, or this is how I tune this unit in. I cranked my evaporator to as cold as it'll go. So it's not going to go off regardless if the evaporator freezes. I just ran the box down to as cool as I could get. Then basically I started picking away a bit at a time, just a little click, a little click, a little click, until I could get my parameters. I knew where it was going to start and I knew where it was going to finish. But this thing also has a delay with the light bulb, like I've talked about in the past. So basically the unit's going to start up probably within a few minutes here. I'm not going to make you wait it out. I'll show you once it does start. But in the box right now, it's very cold. No ice on the evaporator. That one's sitting roughly about the same. It's a piece of junk. This one tells the truth. We're at 0 in here right now. How I did this was I used several thermometer sources and basically a couple of these temp probe guns, and they were even out. So this one was half decent. I can't remember where I bought it. I got a bunch of these things. I've had them over the years, but it allowed me to. The controllers, they'll work, but unfortunately the thing is that the temperature gap is so big on them, they're not accurate by any means. So at that minus 20 degrees, I can't remember if it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's all a matter of getting it into the parameters that you want, regardless of what it says on the gauge. I'll wipe that little red line off with some lacquer thinner, and I'll put my own gauge on there as to what the box should be at. It really doesn't matter. I'm never going to touch it again. It'll be closed. The biggest important gauge is that analog gauge outside, so you know that the box is running cool and you're not freezing up and that type of thing. And then I'll gradually drop that evap sensor so that it allows me to, in the event, you know, on sticking a harsh wet animal or something like that in there, that it's not going to freeze up that evaporator and just throw the whole system out of whack. So I'll drop that back down, do the same sort of thing. But I'll show you the delay on the light bulb once this thing sets up. I'll let it run down and get down to 0. I'll show you how cold this trailer gets. Very, very slow drop. So, sorry, very, very slow rise. Let's put it that way. This box will run down to 32 degrees or 0, and it'll take 20 minutes to half an hour before it clicks back in on my parameters currently, and that box, it takes that long to cycle that, for the compressor to cycle again, which is sort of nice. It just shows that that box is really sealed. I can't stress enough that you got to go inside these boxes, you know, when it's light outside and don't have any light on the inside of the trailer, and you shouldn't be able to see light through cracks or anything like that, because that's all moisture. So that's a hot going to cold, and it's going to source that evaporator and it's going to freeze you up. That could be the biggest nightmare. These controllers have been a big nightmare. These Everwell or whatever they were, don't buy them. They're just too much work. for, you know, the guy that's doing his first cooler, you'll be pulling your hair out because it's just aggravating as anything. Buy something half decent like a Honeywell. You know, if you really want something simple, buy a CoolBot. You can run 2 Inkbird units. You can run one of those STC 3008s. I'll have a programming video shortly about that. But yeah, the cooler's finally up and running. It took a bunch of voltage monitoring and temperature monitoring to get the controllers. I hope you understand that it's basically you're molding those controllers to match your room temperature. So I'm going in there and I'm taking take the thermal gun, and I'll take it in there and I'll see what my probe's at, and I can see where I can shut it down and where I can start it up. So I'll show you once the box runs up again. Okay guys, compressor just came on about a minute ago. This is the frosting I'm concerned about. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to wrap copper wire around my compressor and put it around my suction line. So far hasn't been an issue, and it's not actually, I don't believe it's liquid. I just don't think it might be a bit of a circulation problem, but we'll get into that later. So here we are. Power is now on to that circuit. Like I say, I've completely eliminated that. We're going to go into the box. I'm going to grab my temp probe and I'll just show you what I'm up to there. Frost on the evaporator, nothing to worry about. This unit might be running a little bit cold right now. In my airflow, I have very cold in here. It's minus probably 4 degrees. And that is 4 degrees Celsius. This one's showing 0. But how I figured this out and got it to stop being a pain in the backside. The red light is on my gauge outside. I actually bent that needle. Like I said, they're jumped. We're at 37 degrees. And you look at the wall. 31 degrees in here. She's cold. She's blowing really cold. 26. Got some good airflow. Now we're at 14. All right, look at down here. There's the UDOT sensor sitting down in there. 27 degrees. What do we sit on here? Fahrenheit. It's cold. Right? We're not frosted up. I haven't frosted up, which is nice. It's cold in here. This light works great. You have to tune your cooler, especially if you're building your own controller. This box is nice and tight. It's going to run a little bit longer now because I'm in it. Oh, let's turn the light back on. It'll run a bit longer because I'm in here, so the heat I've generated is going to cause it to run longer. If you have any questions on how to tune a cooler, especially when you build your own controller, you know, look, my light's on, my compressor's running. That light bulb takes a while to heat up, it takes a while to cool down. So it's about a 3-minute delay. I timed it last night. So I'm going to get out of here because it's freezing. So you might have noticed, I just noticed while I was walking out, that you can see light around my door. So it's not a fact that it's leaking. The gaskets I brought in, silicone, really nice stuff. Got it off Amazon, 14 by 12, 14 wide, 12 high, and great seal. But the only issue, yeah, you can get it in black. Might be advisable, but I know it's sealing. I don't have to worry about it because of the rise with the temperature in the box. So the only thing is it allows light through, so it's a little bit deceiving. Let me give you a quick view of this weather strip. This stuff is 14 millimeter wide, 12 millimeter high, so you get a nice good seal. This cooler is running great. Glad. Just pulling my hair out for a bit because the controllers, one was fighting one way and the other one's fighting the other way. You know, the gauge is inaccurate, and both controllers were inaccurate. They were causing a bunch of grief. So once you tune them in with voltage and temperature, you're right in the prime zone. Yeah, she's feeling good. Check back soon.